Good afternoon. My name is Scott Redler, Chief Strategic Officer at T3Live.com. Welcome to today's recap. I'll look ahead for all of Redler All Access and my public Twitter feed. Hopefully everyone had a great day. Market, I would say opened up a little positive, and then high beta tech that had really nice setups triggered, and some of the names that were already in motion, continued. The Dow the Dow didn't participate because oil has been lower, and the banks are still trying to figure out what's next. And as far as the small caps, we did get a little red dog reversal in the IWM, which we'll go over. So, go right now to the S&P cash. To me, it would be really nice if this thing, that has just created this bull flag on top of pretty high level support, the 8-day could, break out above this at some point, whether it's after the Fed day when they perhaps say that they're going to do rates still in June or insinuate that and the banks go, or for some, at some point, because, we talked about last week the big gap up on Monday, and then you had some follow through on Tuesday, and then for 3 or 4 sessions we've gone sideways, creating a nice upper level flag, letting the moving averages catch up. So at this point, you would think, unless something crazy overnight, the charts, okay, or the technicals are saying, try and be in some of this, for like a tier 1, and then if it happens to break above this, you get to your tier 2 for a breakout. Some will wait for confirmation, but if it opens up above, then you'll be like, oh, another gap up, it's going to, leave without me. And if you're in it now, okay, because you want to be in for a gap up and it happens to have something overnight that raises volatility, you have to be prepared to be able to trade around it. But as of right now, you have a nice high-level flag. I know volume was low, and it seems like we can continue to the upside. In the IWM, we talked about in my note this morning on how to execute and buy. I think some of you guys know anyway in the community what a red dog reversal is. Well, you had a move below a prior low, which was right here. This was 139.04. Put a low in at 138.78. You buy here, and then you hold it, okay, versus that low. And if you did so, okay, you got yourself a nice day trade and maybe even a swing trade. I'm long some overnight, and we'll see whether or not in time this upper level consolidation yields new highs, which would probably lead the market. The descending channel it broke above was right here, above all the moving averages. I know this day was kind of ugly on Friday, but from where it hit to from where it came from, not the end of the world. It was nice to see a calculated move after some price discovery today. As far as the banks, the news that perhaps they might break apart the big banks, et cetera, I just don't think that's the case. If you, want to trade versus a level here, we talked about how this spot has to hold. That's 23.53-ish, and it did at some point. If the Fed indicates that June could still be, on the table, maybe this helps the overall broader indices. I'm in Bank of America. I was, started buying it again late last week. And still involved. I think it acted somewhat well today. We'll see at some point if this could break above this for continuation. I wouldn't be in any more than a tier 1 for now, as it proves that it can go sideways and play some catch up. At this point, it did blow off that Trump news, so to speak, and I'm still going to hang in there. So today, in tech land, you had to be fast. It had to be prepared. So my note I talked about, I think in the Morning Call Express, I also talked about Apple on, the 145 level, that we've had all these pre-earnings runs to be prepared to buy it, especially if you can get above and stay above it. And that was my first trade of the day. That was buying Apple right around actually 145 pre-market, and then staying with it all day and trading around it. And I'm still long some overnight. Really nice pivot. We talk about momentum pivots. Well, here it was. Got above this, stayed above this, and closed pretty well. I'm in it. Tomorrow's earnings after the close. Let's hope we get a little follow through, and then I'll figure out what's next. This was a nice break above this little descending channel here after holding bigger support, and then boom, follow through. You didn't have to be long it overnight. You just had to know that stocks that have been strong have been doing pre-earnings breakouts, so why not this one being the best stock in the overall or best company in the market? So I think my first buy, which the VTF saw, was around 140.490. And here's the close, and we'll see if we get some follow-through tomorrow, and then we'll revisit that then. Why did I think it could happen? You look at something like Microsoft, okay? Microsoft had a pre-earnings run well before, and then actually held up after the report, and now look at it. Google had a pre-earnings report also, okay, where it started running prior to earnings. Okay, here was your earnings pivot. This is when it woke up. This is when it cleared it, and then still gave you some, okay, afterwards. So why not Apple? That's why it was a focus today. Today you had a red dog reversal in Google. Yes, you did. Doesn't have to be down multiple days. You could just use a prior low. So in my note I talked about 923.22. Can it get below and come back above it? If so, that could be your entry. You could have entered at 923, put your stop in at 920, $3 risk, and you made for yourself almost 10 bucks. And now hopefully I'm hoping to see like a little bit of a small slight down open, so then in time we could be a buyer through this for more gains. But ultimately, nice little trade today. You know, Amazon was definitely tricky. Just so you guys know, I tried to short it. Thinking about, look at this, open up, close on the lows. You know, so I went over how 935 could be some resistance from Friday, that it could be a good spot to try and short. Okay, why did I say that? Because I looked right around here. Here is at 935-ish, so I'm like, let me try and short there. So what did I do? I started shorting around there. I shorted all the way up to like 942-ish, okay? And basically it didn't come in. So I said, you know what? I'm not going to fight this all day. I want to be long Amazon, not short, even though this happened on Friday. They try and trap people. So I said, if it gets above the morning high, which is right here after a short-term consolidation, I know if I wasn't short and I was long, I'd probably be buying it. So I got out. Got out around this 942, lost a little bit of money, but I had a lot of longs on, so it didn't really matter much. But, you know, again, would have been better to be long it than short it. But anyway, got out and basically didn't get stubborn and frustrated and lose a lot of money and then miss out on what was good going on in the day. Okay, I actually flipped long, but only for a move back to right around here. So anyway, it wasn't a big one. So anyway, that was that, and now, you know, it's got a nice 2-day candle. I don't know if it's going to pull the red day, green day, red day, green day and play with everyone, but at this point, if this red candle was in control, it should never have given back more than 50% of it. So once it got above that spot, I'm like, okay, this candle has no power. Let me get out of the way. And now we'll see if it can go. I'd love to see this also, you know, go sideways for a session or so and then be able to buy it for a new move, but we shall see. Also, came along Tesla, which the VTF and notes saw, my disclosures. Why was I along Tesla again? Because it woke up on Friday, had a nice pattern, and again, all these big, awesome momentum names are having pre-earnings runs, so why wouldn't Tesla, the best of the year? So boom, here was your Friday close. So those of you who want to learn chart patterns by watching this and watching the morning call and recap, well, this was your chart pattern. And to get above 315 or hold above it would squeeze some shorts, get some new longs in, and that's pretty much what happened. So I came in long this morning, added to it, and I went out flat. I actually sold it a little bit early, but whatever. That was my day and a half move. Earnings aren't until Wednesday, so we'll figure out what's next. I didn't come in with Netflix, but the plan was to buy it above what? A pivot area. Think to yourself, what was the pivot area in Netflix? 153.50. Why was it 153.50? That's what it hit last week, and then held 150 and flagged. So Netflix, another tradable pattern, right? Didn't close on the highs, but it doesn't really matter too much. So here's when it broke out with the deal with Baidu, or the joint venture, whatever you want to call it. Went sideways, did not have it over the weekend, but you had a lot of time to buy it through 153.50, and it hit a high of 157.70. So even if you didn't want to have weekend risk, you could have been a buyer prepared with that pivot. So those of you guys in the know, congratulations. Hopefully you traded it because it was there in black and white. Those on the VTF saw I did not have it overnight, but added to it and then took it off up a few bucks, and you know, that kind of cash flow moves help pay the bills. And for those of you who are learning chart patterns, here's when it cleared this channel, held above it, didn't fall apart. That's why you had an additional move. Baba, I was also in overnight. It cleared this last pivot area of 116. Didn't close on the highs, but doesn't really have to. Still above the 8-day, above the 21-day, one of the strongest stocks out there. Been sitting in this for a few days. I did add to it when it went above 116, took some off, and I'm still long some. Baidu did not work on earnings. Okay, didn't look at it today. At this point, I think it just needs time because a lot of people took it home long because of the chart, and they did not deliver on earnings. But still, this weekly chart's intact. It just didn't do what, you know, short-term active traders would have wanted to, and you know, just that happens. Not everything works out. I lost some money in Baidu also. What else? What else? What else? What else? What else? You know what? I don't think there's anything else. You know, you had high beta tech, strong. Lots of things gave you reasons to own it through the weekend. Some you didn't have to, and you still had your pivots to buy today. You could have bought and traded it and held some, okay, or you could have bought, traded it, and got out of it instead and putting the money in the bank. I think in order for the S&P cash to break above 2,400 and the spiders to give you a trade above 240, we're going to need to see the banks, play some catch up. They've been out of play for about a week or two, and you're going to need to see the small caps, get back above 140 and continue, and then finally some stabilization in oil. Okay, so again, high beta tech on the move, major big cap tech on the move, and right now in a holding zone, you have the banks, you have the IWM still acting well, you have the bios too. Oh, you know what? Let's look at the bios. The bios acting much better. We'll see at some point, does it get back to this 300 area? Okay, we looked at it this morning also and said you could be long versus 294-ish. Why 294-ish? Because this was the last bull flag that held, and now it's coming back up. Not a barn-burning move, but back above the moving average is definitely a bit more neutral positive than neutral to negative like it was on this day when it looked like it was going to break, and then they kind of changed the gears here. So hopefully you had a great day. And again, just for some of you who are like, where's Red Dog? I do have a pinned tweet, a tweet pinned at the top. We do have a new social media policy here. So if you read that, you'll understand more. I will be here for you for the Morning Call Express, and I'll also give you the S&P cash, chart every day. So this way you can have a blueprint with some thoughts, and then the recap to go over what happened and what I might be looking at and still on the day after. But the intraday tweets that happen all day long, giving updated positions and other thoughts, are all on Redler All Access. So you can look at the email and hopefully maybe do a little switcheroonie. Have a good night.